Moving into the Whitmore residence was surreal. My new suite on the third floor was bigger than the entire apartment I'd shared with my mother. The bedroom had a queen-sized bed with crisp white linens, a mahogany dresser, and a reading nook by the window that overlooked the garden. The bathroom had a rainfall shower and a soaking tub. The sitting area had a small kitchenette, a couch and a flat-screen TV. It was the nicest place I'd ever lived. "This is too much," I said to Therese, who'd insisted on showing me around personally despite her busy schedule. "Nonsense," she replied, running her fingers along the edge of the dresser to check for dust, a gesture that seemed automatic, like she was used to checking that everything was perfect. "You're living here. You should be comfortable. It's beautiful." "Thank you." She nodded, already turning toward the door. "Dinner is usually at 6:30. Gregory goes to bed at 8 on school nights. The pantry is fully stocked, but if you need anything specific, just let me know. I've left a household manual in your sitting room that covers the basics. Emergency numbers, Gregory's schedule, dietary preferences, that sort of thing. I'll read through it tonight." "Good." She paused at the door, one hand on the frame. "And Alora, I'm glad you're here." Before I could respond, she was gone, her heels clicking down the hallway. My mother took the news about as well as I'd expected, which is to say poorly. "You're abandoning me," she said flatly when I told her. "Moving out to take care of someone else's family while your own mother suffers alone." "Mom, I'm not abandoning you. I'll still visit every Sunday, and the money I'm making will help us both. I can pay for your medications, your treatments, your doctor visits. I don't want your money. I want my daughter." Her voice cracked, and I saw the fear beneath the anger. The fear of dying alone. I knelt beside her bed, taking her thin hand in mine. "Mom, you're not alone. I'm going to be here for you every step of the way. This job just means I can actually afford to help you, to make sure you're comfortable." "Comfortable," she repeated bitterly. "That's what people say when they mean dying." "Mom." "No, let's be honest, Alora. The doctors gave me a year. Maybe less. And you want to spend that time living with strangers instead of your own mother." Guilt crashed over me like a wave. "That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Cancer isn't fair." She turned away from me, her shoulders shaking. Go to your new family. See if I care." I knew she did care in her own complicated way. But I also knew I needed this. Needed space to breathe, needed to be able to provide for her, needed to not watch her waste away every single day. "I'll call you," I said quietly. "And I'll see you Sunday." She didn't respond, and I left feeling both relieved and heartbroken. My first official day started at 6 o'clock in the morning. I woke to soft sunlight filtering through the gauzy curtains and spent a moment just lying there, luxuriating in the comfortable bed and the quiet. In our old apartment, I could always hear traffic sirens, neighbors arguing. Here, there was only birdsong and the distant sound of running water. I showered, dressed in jeans and a soft gray sweater, and headed downstairs to start breakfast. The kitchen was a dream. All stainless steel appliances, marble countertops, and more gadgets than I knew what to do with. I found eggs, bacon, fresh bread, and fruit and got to work. By the time Therese appeared at 6:45, dressed in another impeccable suit, this one navy blue with a crisp white blouse, I had coffee brewing and breakfast plated. "Good morning," she said, looking genuinely surprised. "You didn't have to do all this." "It's my job," I said, pouring her a cup of coffee. "Plus, I love cooking." "How do you take it?" "Black, no sugar." She accepted the cup and took a sip, her eyes closing briefly in appreciation. "This is excellent coffee. I went to culinary school. Coffee is serious business." The corner of her mouth quirked up, not quite a smile but close. "Noted." Gregory thundered into the kitchen moments later, his hair sticking up in about 5 different directions, still in his pajamas. "Morning, buddy," I said. "Ready for breakfast?" "Can we have dinosaur pancakes?" he asked hopefully. I glanced at Therese, who was checking her phone. "Is that okay?" "If you're willing to make them," she said without looking up. "Absolutely. But first you need to get dressed for school, okay?" "Okay. By the time you're ready, the pancakes will be too." "Okay." Gregory raced off, his feet pounding up the stairs. "He has a lot of energy in the morning," Therese said, finally setting down her phone. "I noticed. It's adorable." "It's exhausting," she replied, but there was fondness in her voice. Thank you for handling breakfast. I usually just give him cereal. Hey, nothing wrong with cereal. But I'm here now, so we might as well make mornings a little more special. Therese looked at me, really looked at me, and I felt that same electric awareness from before. Her eyes were so striking up close, and when she focused her full attention on me, it was almost overwhelming. You're good at this, she said quietly. At cooking? I asked, raising an eyebrow. At all of it. Making people feel cared for. I felt my cheeks warm. That's the goal. The moment stretched between us, and I had the strange sense that something was shifting, some invisible line being drawn. Then Gregory came crashing back into the kitchen wearing his school uniform and one sock, and the moment broke. Pancakes, he announced. I'm ready for pancakes. One sock? I asked, raising an eyebrow. He looked down at his feet. Oh. I couldn't find the other one. It's probably under your bed, Therese said with a sigh. Gregory, you need to keep your room tidier. But Mom. No buts. Alora, would you mind helping him find it after breakfast? Of course. I made dinosaur-shaped pancakes, or at least pancakes that vaguely resembled dinosaurs if you squinted, while Therese reviewed what looked like contracts on her tablet. Gregory chattered away about a field trip his class was taking to the Natural History Museum, occasionally stopping to take enormous bites of pancake. It felt surprisingly domestic, surprisingly right, like I'd slipped into a life that fit me better than the one I'd left behind. The days fell into a comfortable rhythm. I'd wake early, prepare breakfast, help Gregory get ready for school, and wave goodbye to both him and Therese from the front steps. Then I'd have the house to myself until 2:30, when Gregory's bus dropped him off. I spent those quiet hours cleaning, meal prepping, and slowly learning the ins and outs of the household. Therese was particular about certain things. She liked her towels folded in thirds, her spices organized alphabetically, her mail sorted by priority, but she wasn't unreasonable. She simply liked order, and I could respect that. Afternoons with Gregory were my favorite part of the day. He'd burst through the door full of stories about school, and we'd sit at the kitchen table with snacks while he told me about his friends, his teachers, whatever had captured his imagination that day. Miss Alora, did you know that some dinosaurs were as small as chickens? He asked one afternoon, his mouth full of apple slices. I did know that. Pretty crazy, right? Yeah. And some were huge, like as tall as buildings. Nature is wild, I agreed. He grinned at me and my heart squeezed. In just 2 weeks I'd grown incredibly fond of this little boy. He was smart and funny and surprisingly sensitive beneath his boisterous exterior. Sometimes when he thought I wasn't looking, I'd catch him with a thoughtful expression on his face, like he was puzzling through something complex. After snacks we'd do homework, which usually involved me helping him with math while he tried to convince me that dinosaurs were relevant to every subject. Then we'd play until dinner time. Sometimes we'd build elaborate Lego structures. Sometimes we'd have lightsaber battles in the living room using wrapping paper tubes. And sometimes we'd just read together on the couch. Therese usually arrived home between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, always looking polished but tired. She'd kick off her heels by the door, pour herself a glass of wine, and ask Gregory about his day. I'd serve dinner, usually something nutritious but kid-friendly, and then excuse myself to give them family time. But Therese often insisted I stay. You're part of the household, she said one evening when I tried to slip away. Please sit. I'd like the company. So I sat and we ate together like an actual family. Therese would ask me about my day, about what Gregory and I had done, and she'd share sanitized versions of her work drama. Gregory would interrupt constantly with his own observations and stories, and somehow, impossibly, it all felt natural. I was careful not to read too much into it. Therese was my employer, nothing more. But sometimes I'd catch her watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read, and my traitorous heart would skip a beat. 3 weeks into my employment, Therese had to leave town for a conference. I'll be gone Thursday through Sunday, she told me on Wednesday evening. 4 days. Can you manage? Of course, I said, trying to ignore the flutter of anxiety in my stomach. It wasn't that I doubted my ability to take care of Gregory. It was more that the house felt different when Therese was in it. More alive somehow. I've left detailed notes in the manual, she continued. Emergency contacts, Gregory's schedule, everything you might need. And you can call me anytime, day or night. We'll be fine, I assured her. Right, Gregory? Gregory, who was building a Lego spaceship on the floor, looked up. Are you leaving again, Mom? Just for a few days, sweetheart. Miss Allura will take good care of you. But I want you, he said, his lower lip jutting out. Teresa's expression softened. She knelt down beside him, unmindful of her expensive suit. I know, baby. I have to work. And when I get back, we'll have a special day together, just you and me. How does the aquarium sound? Really? His face lit up. Really? I promise. He threw his arms around her neck and she hugged him tight, closing her eyes. Watching them, I felt a surge of emotion I couldn't quite name. They loved each other so much, and despite Teresa's demanding career, she was clearly a devoted mother. Later, after Gregory had gone to bed, Teresa found me in the kitchen wiping down the counters. Thank you, she said quietly. I turned to face her. For what? For making this easier. For being so good with him. She leaned against the counter and I noticed for the first time how exhausted she looked. It's hard being away so much. I worry that I'm not enough for him. You're an amazing mother, I said firmly. Gregory adores you. Anyone can see that. He adores you too, she replied, her gaze intense. He talks about you constantly. Miss Allura said this. Miss Allura and I did that. I was worried he wouldn't bond with a new caretaker, but you've made yourself indispensable remarkably quickly. There was something in the way she said it, some undercurrent I couldn't quite identify. Was she pleased? Concerned? Something else entirely? He's a special kid, I said. Easy to love. Teresa was quiet for a moment, studying me. Then she said, I should get to bed. Early flight tomorrow. Of course. Travel safe. Allura. She paused at the kitchen door. If you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to call. I will. I promise. She nodded and left, but I could have sworn her eyes lingered on me just a moment longer than necessary. The first day without Teresa was strange. The house felt bigger, emptier, even with Gregory's constant chatter and energy. We kept busy, school, homework, a trip to the park. But I found myself missing her presence more than I wanted to admit. That evening, after Gregory was in bed, my phone rang. Teresa's name flashed on the screen. Hello. Hi. Her voice sounded different over the phone. Softer, more intimate. I hope I'm not calling too late. Not at all. Is everything okay? Yes. I wanted to check in, see how Gregory's doing. He's great. We went to the park after school and he made friends with a girl who also loves dinosaurs. They had a very serious discussion about whether Stegosaurus or Triceratops would win in a fight. Teresa laughed and the sound sent warmth through my chest. Let me guess, he argued for Stegosaurus because of the tail spikes. Exactly. Though she made a compelling case for Triceratops based on horn positioning and defensive capabilities. My son, the paleontologist. There was such affection in her voice. Thank you for taking him to the park. He loves being outside. I noticed. We'll probably go again tomorrow if the weather holds. That sounds perfect. There was a pause and I heard what sounded like a hotel room in the background. The low hum of air conditioning, distant voices in the hallway. Are you doing okay? I asked. How's the conference? Boring, she admitted. Lots of men explaining things I already know. But that's the nature of the tech industry. That sounds frustrating. It is. But it's also necessary. Networking, maintaining relationships, staying visible. She sighed. Sometimes I miss the early days when it was just about building something I believed in, not playing politics. What made you start your company? I asked, genuinely curious. I wanted to create software that actually helped people, not just made money for investors. Educational tools, accessibility features. Things that make technology more inclusive. Her voice grew passionate. There's so much potential in tech to change lives, but it's wasted on ad revenue and data mining. And, sorry I'm ranting. Don't apologize. It's nice to hear you talk about something you're passionate about. Another pause, longer this time. I should let you go, Teresa said, though she didn't sound like she wanted to. Early session tomorrow. Good luck with the mansplaining. She laughed again. I'll need it. Good night, Allura. Good night, Teresa. I sat there for a long moment after she hung up, staring at my phone and trying to ignore the way my heart was racing. He called the next night too. And the night after that. Always ostensibly to check on Gregory, But our conversations would drift to other topics. Her work, my culinary training, books we'd read, movies we loved. By the fourth night we talked for almost 2 hours. I can't believe you've never seen The Princess Bride, I said, genuinely scandalized. I've been busy, Therese protested, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Too busy for a classic? That's tragic. We're watching it as soon as you get home. We are. Yes. It's non-negotiable. Gregory will love it too. There are sword fights and pirates and arises. Arises. Rodents of unusual size. Trust me, it's amazing. She laughed, and I realized I'd been making her laugh a lot over the past few days. I liked it. Liked knowing I could ease some of her stress, make her smile even when she was hundreds of miles away. All right, she said. Movie night when I get back. It's a date. My breath caught. A date. I mean, not a date, obviously, I stammered. Just, the movie. The three of us. She sounded flustered, which was unusual for her. Right. Of course. I should go. Another early morning tomorrow. Right. Sleep well. You too, Laura. And thank you. For everything. After she hung up, I sat in the darkness of my suite, my heart pounding. It's not a date, I told myself firmly. She's your boss. This is just friendly, professional. But the warmth in her voice, the way she'd lingered on the phone each night, the look in her eyes before she'd left, none of that felt purely professional. Stop it, I told myself. You're imagining things. She's straight. She's your employer. And you are absolutely not going to develop feelings for her. Even as I thought it, I knew I was lying to myself.